Welcome to Open for Business, the Gallatin Valley's only local business and consumer talk show featuring Tom Egelhoff, the Man Entrepreneur magazine radio called the leading authority in the United States for doing business in small town. Here he is, speaker, author, small business consultant, and Mrs. Egelhoff's favorite son, Tom Egelhoff.
All right, welcome everyone. Open for Business. We air every Saturday live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, Montana. If you'd like to be a part of the big broadcast, go to kmmsam.com and click Listen Live. The call-in number during the show, 406-522-TALK, 406-522-8255. I'm here, you're here. Let's get the show on the road.
Let's get back to Open for Business on News Radio AM 1450 KMMS Bozeman. Lines are open at 522-TALK. That's 522-8255. Here he is. He's big, he's bad, and he's open for business, Tom Egelhoff.
All right, 25 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday, February 11th, 2017. I want to welcome you to the podcast portion of Open for Business. Each week I share some tips and tricks I've learned over the years about advertising, marketing, promotion, and building strong, successful businesses. And if you missed any of my previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel. And while you're there, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? And you'll never miss another weekly podcast. You'll also find a link to my podcast on my website at smalltownmarketing.com. That's smalltownmarketing.com. Today's topic, I want to talk about how to market your small business when the future's uncertain. So having lived through recessions for the past 50 years or so, I'm always confident that business will always find a way to overcome any economic adversity. And in spite of some political decisions from our capital, I see nothing that has changed my viewpoint. What I do see is that this economic recovery is going to last much longer and be much more damaging to small business than previous ones, due primarily to government interference in the natural working of the marketplace. Now, you don't have to look very far back in history when things like cash for clunkers and the first-time homebuyer's tax credit artificially altered the natural workings of the housing and automobile aftermarket. It's not a political blame game. Both parties put us in this situation by acting like politicians rather than business people. And regardless of the administration, they continue to make the same mistakes over and over. Business survives in spite of government, not because of it. Small business owners on Main Street are facing a very uncertain future. Your business is not too big to fail. It's too small to save. Large corporations have the resources to weather tough times much better than mom and pop retailer or the small manufacturer. We have a failing healthcare bill, but as yet we don't know all the ramifications or effects that changes to that bill will have on your small business in the coming years. And to make matters worse, it's going to morph into a 20-year plan that will probably get worse before it gets better. So on the horizon, we have taxes, regulations, changes in Medicare and Medicaid, particularly at the state level. When you consider the tightening of credit, inflation and deflation, an anemic housing market, a weakening dollar, our tremendous debt, foreign competition, coupled with future oil and gas prices, it's no wonder the small business owner has a hard time getting a good night's sleep. If there was ever need for a crystal ball, it's now. Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have some suggestions that might help make it a little easier to weather this economic tsunami. First thing you have to realize is that customers are out there, and regardless of economic conditions, they still have a need for your products or services. Back in 2007, when the recession was just starting, my wife was getting the kitchen ready to paint and wallpaper, an electrician was coming to install ceiling fans for the summer, and a carpenter was scheduled to give us an estimate to increase the size of one of our decks. Now, you might be saying it's easy for you, you're a rich author. No, I'm not. I wish I was. But we budgeted for those things over time, and that's what many of your customers are doing right now. Now, buying and selling is not the same thing. There's an old saying, nothing happens till someone sells something. Well, to put it another way, nothing happens till somebody buys something. So what's the difference? Well, when times are good and customers have money, they often sell themselves before they ever darken your door. When times are bad, customers often need assistance in seeing the value of making a purchase now rather than waiting. Now, in hindsight, I knew the jobs we were having done in our home were not going to get any cheaper by waiting, no matter what the economic conditions of the time were. So we had saved the money, and we decided to have them done. Now, the economic conditions at the time had no bearing on our decision, so in hindsight, we made the right decision. Waiting to do the work on the house 10 years later would have added 25% or more to the cost. Now, your job is to show your customers that in spite of economic conditions, they need your product or services now. That dealing with you now is not a gamble, it's an investment. The primary reason most customers don't buy almost always based on an emotional reason, usually fear of loss. Now, we wrestle with saving or spending our home improvement costs. Usually it's a fear of doing something now that will turn out badly later. Fear of loss is always more powerful than expectation of gain. Fear the worst, but hope for the best. Does a subprime mortgage ring a bell? Now, in most cases, these fears are unfounded, but when you think of the amount of negative messages your customers hear each day, is it any wonder they're reluctant to make a logical buying decision? You need to stress the benefits of dealing with you now rather than later. Now, if possible, use testimonials in all your advertising. Customers' fears are often calmed when they see a positive outcome from someone else, even if they don't know that person. So build your current customer base. Referrals have never been more critical than they are in these stressful times. Every face-to-face meeting with a customer or a prospect must be a learning experience. What are your customers really looking for? What's the emotional hook that brought them in to see you? Show them an island of safety and confidence. Take the fear out of their decisions. Now is not the time to sell, it's the time to help your customers buy. Create a positive marketplace within your four walls. To use a common buzzword, give your customers a safe space. And that's the podcast. If you missed any of my previous podcasts, you'll find them all on my YouTube channel. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Or click the link to my website at smalltownmarketing.com. That's smalltownmarketing.com. So tune in each Saturday and let's build successful businesses together.